listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home for original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome everybody tuning in this evening. So, this is a super random live edition of the Narrative Podcast. Had a special edition on Thursday of last week, I believe, Thursday or Friday of last week. Last week. So if you know, you know. So that was my welcome back to podcasting. I had taken a little hiatus off for the holidays. And now that pretty much everybody's over their little holiday hangover, I'm back at it, going strong and ready to get it, man. Like everybody else is ready to get it. And I'm not going to say for the new year, I already broke down, if you joined me last week, that this is not the new year. But I'm just ready. I feel like I've turned a leaf, or turned a corner, as they say, and had a real productive run here on the Narrative Podcast. And I'm definitely planning on increasing productivity and connecting better with my listening audience and bringing you better quality content. And just keep on, being for the people and walking out my purpose in this space until it's time for me to expand and do more, which it is slowly becoming time for me to expand and do more, and I'm in the process of doing that. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So before diving into the content this evening on this live edition of the Narrative Podcast, I'm going to give a brief overview of my platform to, all the new listeners, people that are unfamiliar with me and my platform. And then after I get that out the way, give you a brief synopsis of, the Narrative Podcast and everything you need to know about it. I'm going to dive right on into the content for this evening. So let's start at the very top. Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I created this platform because I didn't like the false narrative that the, media weaves about original people and original culture. I get to the original part in a bit. So what I decided to do was create a platform where I'm, to set that oversight right by just delivering a platform where I'm delivering nothing but content that puts our people in a positive light and breaks those negative stereotypes and stigma placed over us by, the liberal media, the inaccurate portrayal of our people. That's pretty much what this entire platform is about, is to, uplift, elevate, empower, impact, and edify our people and our culture. But as a matter of fact, that was the perfect way to segue into my tagline. And my tagline is the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy said negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's entirely what the Narrative Podcast is all about, providing the listening audience with positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Because like I said, the media, intentionally misrepresents our people and our culture. Part of the reason why they do that, the main reason why they do that is, for profit, to generate news. And let's face it, our people, when are we ever not news? We're so dynamic and impactful. Everybody wants to know what we're doing. 24/7, the world's captivated with our presence. They want to know, what we're doing, how we do what we do, and just, infatuated with it. So, there's that. And then, unfortunately, negative things sell quicker than positive things. Like just in regular news, do you ever notice? Just in regular news, there's always a whole bunch of negative headlines and topics. It's like in regular news, they have probably like one little brief snippet of editorial in the local news about somebody doing something like, a humanitarian piece or whatever. But essentially, the media intentionally misrepresents us for money, to generate sales, for profit. But the bigger part of that is because the media is ran by the powers that be, and they want to declare their supremacy by controlling the thoughts of the people. And how do you control the thoughts of the people? By manipulating the perception of the people. They want people to perceive our people a certain way and react and respond to our people a certain way, so they can reinforce their own self-proclaimed superiority. And they do that by trying to make everybody else look, beneath them in intelligence, in wealth, in, social grooming. They do it to everybody, but they especially do it to our people. They do it to our people the most because out of everybody, they fear our people the most because they are aware of their history. They know how they came to be. They know how they acquired all their, air quotes, power. And our people is a direct threat to their power. Their biggest fear is that our people, will band together, unite, and start building instead of fighting one another like they're programming and conditioning us to do through this content that they provide on the media about our people and our culture, and start networking and unifying and building, institutions and overthrow them and usurp their power. So, that's their biggest fear, but it's ill-gotten fear because that's not the nature of our people. We don't have, that in our nature. We don't plunder, we don't steal, we don't take things and from other cultures and claim them as our own, and we don't rape and commit genocide on other cultures. That's their history. That's not ours. Our history is teachers, builders, inventors, philosophers, spiritual practitioners, basically mothers and the fathers of creation. Yeah, that's who we are as a people, and they know it, and that is threatening to them. That shakes their very foundation. So that's why they work doubly overtime to try to manipulate and control the narrative on, through the media by putting out these false, these negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture. So yeah, that's primarily why I'm here in this space that I'm occupying, to offset that. My mission statement basically is to bring awareness to everybody that listens to this podcast, the importance of putting out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, to responsibly utilize their presence in the digital space, to accurately reflect our people and our culture, because the media, that's their job, to put out negative frames of reference. So, to change the narrative, we got to put out positive frames of reference. And that's what I try to enlighten and encourage everyone that listens to this podcast to do. So basically make ourselves the heroes and not the villains, in our timelines. Which brings me to my next point. This is why I call my target listening audience my narrators. Because we're living in the digital age. Everything, all businesses are conducted, and everything in this modern society starts online. Like that's, everybody's perception of you as a person. Your hobbies, your interests, your beliefs, your value systems, all that is, derived from the content that you post online. And so while we cannot control what people outside of our culture think about us, the way they perceive us as a people, how they perceive our culture, we can't control, the media, what they're posting, but online, we can control what we're posting. So we are in a unique position to tell or narrate our own stories. Because like I said, the media is ran by evil, wicked, diabolical people with an agenda. But at the core of it, it's business. It's, black and white, on paper, dollars and cents, transactions, money. And how do, these Fortune 500 companies get money? By creating content. And how do they create the content? They create the content by going over their statistical research, their statistical data that they procure online. They're monitoring your clicks, they're monitoring your views, they're monitoring what you're looking at, what seems to be piquing your interest, and providing a market for it. So now as it comes in concern to our people, where do we fit into that? We corner the market on degeneracy. There's $1 billion a year industry in degenerate type behavior. And we are the sole proprietors of it. And the media, that monster machine, keeps on making large quantities of degeneracy. And that's why I try to encourage people to, watch what they're posting online, because that's a direct correlation of you. So, that's, the powers that be, that's their excuse for these crappy television shows, these crappy movies, these crappy books, inaccurately portraying and projecting our images and our likenesses. Because again, that's how they collect their statistical data to create the content. That's how they believe we want to be portrayed, because we're always, playing into these negative stereotypes and negative stigmas about our people and our culture by posting it online. We're playing into pimp culture, gang culture, horror culture, thought culture. All these negative stereotypes and stigmas about us, that we're violent, that we're lazy, that we're stupid. They create content to accommodate, that trend. So degeneracy is trending big time. So that's why it's up to each and every one of us to put out positive content like I do here on the Narrative Podcast. So the type of content that you will put out is content that reflects, the true nature of our people. And what is the true nature of our people? Kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe, leaders, entrepreneurs, having strong family structure, having discipline, moving with a sense of urgency, respecting each other, respecting our environments, loving one another, unifying with each other, civilly settling our disagreements. Those are the type of images we should be projecting about our people and our culture. And that's what I try to promote here on my platform. Second, I refer to our people as original people as often as possible here on the Narrative Podcast. I don't call our people black. Now you can refer to yourself as black if you want to, but I feel like original people is a more accurate description of who we are as a people, primarily because we were and are the original inhabitants of this planet. We were here, before anybody else. Our civilization on all corners of the globe predates all religious tracts, all recorded logs, charts, maps, books, etc. We was here first, scientifically, categorically, undeniably here first. The first ones. And contrary to all unpopular belief, in our early existence, we were fully sentient. We were fully, capable of building. We had divine knowledge. We wasn't, stooped over. We didn't have, a cranial overbite. We wasn't living in caves. We wasn't, grunting. We wasn't like no Unga Bunga caveman. We wasn't that. We was fully erect, standing up straight, building cities, building citadels, building statues, had tools, inventing things. That's what we was doing. Creating and inventing and teaching. That's who we are as a people. The original people. The second reason why I refer to our people as original people is because, it unifies us as a people, because we're, we all identify as something else. We all have different pronouns. We all have different beliefs, value systems, viewpoints, upbringings, cultural and ethnic, things that separate us as a people, land masses. But the one thing we have in common, we all can trace our original lineage back to the original origin point for all civilization. We all have that. No matter what we call ourselves, refer to ourselves as, we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin. And we can get, into this reparation stuff a little bit later. But, like I said, we were the original people. We was on every corner of the globe imaginable, and contrary to all unpopular belief, we did not get to all these different places via slavery. While chattel slavery was indeed real and barbaric and horrible, not all of us are products of slavery. All of us didn't get the parts of Europe and Asia and, all through here in the Americas and Mesoamerica, any Spanish-speaking nation, down under, via slave boats. We just already located there, and people that did not resemble us called us something else and made up systems and divided us. But, that's another story for another time. But yeah, so that's why I try to refer to our people as original people as often as possible here on my platform. You can refer to yourself as whatever you want to. I'm just telling you, what I do here on the Narrative Podcast. Some more misnomers. I try to make these broadcasts as short as possible. This is an all audio platform, so I only got a small window to engage my listeners, to keep you enticed and attentive, and keep your attention and keep you focused. So I can't do that if I'm just droning on and on and on about nothing. So I try to keep all my points hyper focused and try to make the content cohesive and keep everything flowing and have a point to everything I'm saying. Next bit of information. This is a positive space. I don't engage in any gossip, slander, anything that's hurtful to our people. I don't try to throw people under the bus. I don't kick dirt on people's names. Create a space where I'm wishing bad on somebody within our culture. But now what I do is I do tell the truth. If somebody within our culture is doing something harmful to us as a people that, makes us all look a certain way, like if they got a polarizing platform and, the way they carry and conduct themselves, makes us all look bad, I will say something like that. But, pretty much everything that I talk about is all to, uplifting and edifying our people. I'm more focused on the why. This, when I speak on current issues, things trending in the news and the media, I'm just covering it from our perspective. Because like I said, the media go out of their way to have us all looking and sounding crazy. So I just put it back in this perspective through our eyes, how we perceive it, how we view it, and what it means to us as a people. Next, if I mention a famous person's name, it's not to denigrate them or kick dirt or slander them. It's really just to set up a point that I'm trying to make, and all the points that I make up here on the Narrative Podcast, the connection that I'm trying to, really drive at is yes, we have our problems within our community. Yes, we have in-house issues, things we need to work on. But here's why we do this. We've been programmed and conditioned to do X, Y, and Z, and then they wonder when we do X, Y, and Z, then they want to, conditions for this type of behavior to thrive. So if I say a famous person's name, it's really just to illustrate a point. It's not the clout chase. Attach my name to it, and try to get the clicks and the views and the likes and all that stuff. If it's gonna come, it's just gonna come. Like, that's one thing about it. Anybody knows anything about social media? If it's your time, it's just your time. Like, there's nothing you can personally do to make yourself relevant. Everybody gets a turn. It's pointless to try to attach yourself to trending topics thinking you're going to get like views and clicks. And even if you do, it's going to be short-lived. So that's never my goal on my platform. Next, I think I said, just reiterated, this is a positive space. I don't do slander and gossip and none of that. So that's basically, what you would be expecting here on the Narrative Podcast. It's just all positive content, just uplifting, edifying, and celebrating our people's accomplishments, and focusing the light on our people and our culture through a positive lens. I think I covered everything. If I missed out, I'm nearly 300 episodes in. You can catch up and, get a full feel for me and my content, wherever you get your podcast from. So I think I covered everything you need to know about me and the Narrative Podcast. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content on the Narrative Podcast on this great Thursday evening. So yeah, it's Thursday. We made it over the hump day. Wednesday was hump day. We made it over that. So now we're moving on into the weekend. And how I do things on my live, I have like two, formats. I got a weekday format and a weekend format. Now with my weekday format, I'm delivering positive frames of reference via news articles. And the reason why I do that is because, like I said, the media is constantly bombarding us with negative news about our people and our culture all the time. So it's really just like basically like they're psychologically attacking us, wearing down our resistance. So this is me doing my part to put something positive in the atmosphere and just, shining the light on all the positive things we do within our community, within our culture, just putting out positive frames of reference that we do have, people achieving excellent things out there in education and inventions, leading the way in community involvement, activism, advocacy, humanitarianism, just being good examples of human beings. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right on into the articles this evening here on the Narrative Podcast. So with my first article, the headline reads, "Two black teens make history, earn bachelor's degree while still going to high school." And forgive me if I get their last names wrong. I believe they are of Nigerian descent, but the two brothers are Abram Lewis K. Nombe, NJUMBE, and they're both from Gary, Indiana. And that's really it. All is said in the article. So some of these articles that I share are super short. So like what I like to try to do is try to just create the vision for you, because like on my audio platform, give you as much information as whatever I'm talking about, so you can have just a proper, just have the full context of whatever I'm talking about. But, sometimes it just is what it is, and this one of them times it is what it is, but it was a positive article, and I felt like it was important to share that because we don't have a lot of positive articles, for young original men doing positive things. So join me into giving these two brothers, who are actually biological brothers, a warm narrative podcast round of applause. All right, moving right along. Headline for the next article. The headline reads, at 16, Dennis Walker began Outback 13 years later. He's now the owner of his own store in Las Vegas. So like he's owns his own, like he's a district manager at his own Outback steakhouse now in Las Vegas. And the kicker is like he's like his Outback location is like a national tourist attraction because of the caption. And so when you go to that one where in Las Vegas where he's at, there's a caption on the door that reads, FOH, and we all know what FOH stands for. If you don't, it's out of here. Outbacker of the month. I guess that's like Outback Steakhouse Employee of the Month, 2015. So that's just his little badge and signal to the world. I worked for mine. I put that work in. I was, Employee of the Month in 2015, and look at me now. So let's join me in giving this brother Dennis Walker a warm narrative podcast round of applause for his accomplishment, rising through the ranks of, Outback Steakhouse and becoming, a regional manager or a co-manager, a co-owner or something like that. He owns his own Outback franchise. So, yeah. Now, I will give, I'm going to go on a little side tangent. The only thing better than being a franchise owner is being an overall owner. Because there's so many things that come with being a franchise owner. When like a brand already exists, you have to go by their rules. So like if it's food, you have to use their recipes, their employee model, like how to hire people, their HR department. But when you own the establishment, you can do whatever you want. And I just hope that's his ultimate goal. Now that he got his beak wet, and now that he got that location, try to, platform and get his own steakhouse. Because, if it's theirs, they can take it away at any given time. So, but other than that, that's still a good accomplishment. I didn't mean to try to yuck his yum, but yeah, just, I got to kick reality too. All right, moving on. Next article, the headline reads, Pilot made history and opens his own aviation training school in Florida. And the brother's name is Captain, got to put some respect on his name and his title, Captain Barrington Irving. He made history at only 23 years old, flying around the world. And he's now, since then, opened his own flight school called the Barrington Irving Technical Training School in Miami, Florida. More than impressive. So got that little stereotype out of the way. Stereotype is, we scared of everything. We're scared to fly. We're scared to swim. What else they got us being scared of? I guess religion, spirituality, that's why, they call us that derogatory name. They call it spooks, but, But he accomplished a miraculous feat, so we're going to give a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for our brother, Captain Barrington Irving. Salute. Moving right along. All right. Next article, the headline reads, The Army National Guard in Tennessee has named its first battalion commander. That's what the article says, and the first battalion commander is a woman. And of course, she's a sister. That's why I'm covering the article. And she also is of, I believe, Nigerian descent. I know there's more countries in Africa, but I'm going to say Nigerian. She might be, Somalian. She could be Eritrean. I don't know. But it is Lieutenant Colonel Odessa K. Sams Kapakra, K-P-A-K-R-A. She joined the National Guard in 1992, became an officer in 98 from the University of Wisconsin, and transferred and got deployed to Tennessee in 2017, I believe. If I'm reading my handwriting right, it might be 2012, but yeah, she put in the work, so it wasn't handed to her. She earned her position, and that's an impressive feat. Now, National Guard, for those that don't know, they call it, the derogatory thing, they call it for people serving in the armed forces, they call the National Guards weekend warriors, because it's basically while everybody else is out deployed, they're supposed to be in charge of, the home front, so we don't get invaded by, any foreign invaders and big things that happen right here in the U.S., like we just had a summer of the civil unrest. They were deployed to call on our people, but we wasn't the only ones out there acting. But anyway, that's the whole purpose of the National Guard, to handle, situations that happen on American soil while everybody else is deployed, overseas. That's their main function. But if they need them real bad overseas, they'll call in the National Guard too. So that's why they call them National Guard. You know what I mean? But anyway, join me into giving our sister Odessa a warm narrative, Lieutenant Colonel Odessa a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her miraculous accomplishment. And I think I got one more. Did I have one more? I didn't write it down, but I do have one more. Let me see. I saved it. I think I forgot to write it down, but I did save another one, I believe. I think this super cool. I got it. I wouldn't feel right if I didn't. My bad. I'm pulling it up now. I got it saved to my gallery, and like, I don't know why I got ads. But anyway, I do have another one. I just didn't write it down. I feel super bad if I didn't share it. All right. So the very last article this evening here on the Narrative Podcast, the headline reads, Black teen and her dad launched app to help incarcerated parents stay in touch with their kids. And the child's name is 12-year-old JJ Patton from New York. Created a photo patch app to connect children with their incarcerated parents. And her own experience with her father, Anthony. I ain't heard too many brothers named Anthony. You got to spell like Italian, Antone. But Jesus, where's it at? I just had it. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Where'd he go? I have no idea. I just had it. That's crazy. Okay, I got more on the article. My bad. I just had lost my place because I didn't write it down, so I had to pull it back up. So, at 3, Jay faced challenges connecting with her incarcerated father. Inspired by his determination, they developed a photo patch app offering free communication for families with imprisoned parents. So you have to go online and see what the photo patch app is. I'm assuming it's something like, kind of like the digital apps they got now available for if you have an incarcerated relative, just like, they got like a digital app. You can go just with your email address and you can go put money on their books and send them and write letters like that. It's more like a text message, and they get computer room time to go check them. So, I think it's like a graduated app like that based on that concept. But you definitely need, especially in lieu of what just happened in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, with those 215 people dead. Well, I got a news update. Actually, that's just how much they got recorded. It's even more people dead than that. new information is surfacing. It's even more unalive people. There was more unalive people than the recorded 215. It's even more than that now. They're saying. But anyway, join me into giving her and her father a warm narrative podcast round of applause for their innovative invention. All right, so moving right on along. The next part of my broadcast is commentary. I'm talking about random things happening, within all over the world, some within our community. But like I said, the purpose when I'm talking about current events is just unpacking it from our perspective and, how it pertains to us and, what it could potentially mean for us as a people, rather than, having the media or the powers that be instruct us how to feel about something. And, so that's anytime I'm delivering commentary, that's me controlling the narrative rather than allowing the media and the powers to be to flip it and manipulate the narrative. So got a couple things I want to talk about you all tonight before getting up out of here. So, as you know, we have a cold front all over the world, all over the United States especially. It is super cold everywhere. Now, some people are saying, they're experimenting with the weather and, this is not a natural occurrence. It's horrible. I think just like last week, Texas's power grid was down for a couple days. But one big, huge thing that I'm noticing is, or everybody's noticing, all the people that own electric cars, what's happening right now. It's winter time. So what do we know? How does cold weather affect electrical devices? Electrical devices that's battery operated. The charge doesn't hold. So basically everybody experiencing these unheard of cold fronts, their electric car is useless. And that's why people are saying, they're manipulating the atmosphere to discourage people from, finding clean sources of power that doesn't pollute the planet. And, so I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think that's all the way out of the realm of possibility because, for the most part, battery-operated vehicles are very efficient, mileage-wise. And also, driving safety-wise. I can't imagine a pedestrian getting ran over by a battery-operated vehicle. I can't see it. I can't see somebody getting ran over by a Prius. Like somebody, like a bike, somebody that rides a bike or a motorcycle getting ran over by somebody in a Prius. I can't see it. And then also, clean, don't mess up the ozone layer and all that. So is it just like natural bad luck or, is it more to it? I don't know. But all I do know is as cold as testicles out there, like all over the world, and It's wreaking havoc on people with, weak power grids. And it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. So I don't know. Next thing I want to talk about, as we know, it was recently Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. So actually I'm going to talk about a couple things, but I'm kind of like that's going to be, my focus point. So like January 15th, that was his birthday. And, it's great remembering our beloved leader for everything he did. I said it last year. I think I'm going to have to reinforce it this year because it's just like either we're not getting the message or like we're getting a little sluggish because like so much stuff been happening, especially the Cat Williams thing. Like that took the internet by storm, but we got to get it back on track and start, properly guarding our ancestry and gatekeeping that. And what I mean by is like people outside of our culture, they're not respecting his legacy. They want to try to just relegate him only to his iconic "I had a dream" speech. And he did much more than that, and he represented much more than that to our people. He was like one of the most like dynamic strategists in the civil rights movement as far as positioning our people, getting us in the position where we could like do things for ourselves and not be dependent upon the system for anything. He was like encouraging that on our people, trying to get us like not waiting around for them, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like what they downplayed. They just only wanted to just acknowledge him for the, the "I had a dream" speech and try to make his image appear docile when he was so revolutionary and, so impactful and so next level. They want to just be like, relegate him to the "I had a dream" speech when he's telling us, really strategically in a strategic way what brands not to support, telling us to take our money out of the banks, telling us to basically like distance ourselves from anything under the Rothschild umbrella, anything under the bank, like distance ourselves from the banking system of America and, create our own products and, he was encouraging group economics. And he's not like getting his proper place in history for that. And so it's up to us to like gatekeep it, because one thing I noticed, them folks, when we had that little uprising over the summer, when that thing hit and before the orange guy got out of office, we had to handle our business, and the first thing out of their mouth is like, well, just protest peacefully. Turn the other cheek. Because that's not what Dr. Martin Luther King wanted. No, what he wanted was reciprocity for his people. He didn't want us getting lynched. He didn't want us waking up with burning crosses in our yard. He didn't want us feeling like boxed in, like we're, hamsters on the wheel. We just keep on going and going, but we're not getting anywhere. because, people are controlling resources, telling us our skills aren't demand, but yet demanding our skills, but not paying us for our skills, owing us money and making us feel bad about asking for money that they owe us. So, he was real front line with it. He was like really next level in his thinking, and they were scared of that. They was afraid of that. They were shaking in their boots over what, Martin Luther King symbolized. And what he symbolized was us coming into our own, empowering ourselves, and reclaiming everything that was taken from us. That's what his legacy was about, not just the I had a dream speech. He woke up from his dream and was ushering us to, get out of this nightmare that we was living in, that we're still living in. And, this isn't a knock to any of our current leaders. Like all of our current leaders, excellent job getting us this far, picking up where Martin left off. But, they knew who would have ushered in the change. That's why they got rid of them. That's why they're not here no more. That's how our government moves. They get rid of, they neutralize the threats. They neutralize anybody that provides solutions to the problems that they create. They got to get them out of here. And then another thing about our beloved leader, I don't like it when they say he gave his life for the civil rights movement. And he didn't give his life. He didn't wake up and just be like, I want to be unalive today. I don't want to do this every day. Come on, woohoo, take my life. I don't want to live anymore. And that's not what it was. He didn't even get unalived by the gunman's bullets. He got unalived in the hospital. Like the bullet wound didn't kill him. They suffocated him and they were spitting on him. So they found him covered in saliva and asphyxiated, suffocated. The bullet wound didn't kill him. They suffocated him and they spat on him. They could have easily taken out that bullet. So that's just what we have to do is just knock the lies off, correct people from sitting up there, changing and flipping the narrative, trying to rewrite history and tell us what they want us to know. Just telling our history the way they want us to tell it, which is from a passive, standpoint, something really palatable for them, something that doesn't make them feel bad. You can sugarcoat the truth all you want to, but the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? You can dress up the truth however you want to dress it up. It's still not going to not be the truth. But what we got to do is quit letting them just marginalize our leaders and pioneers' accomplishments. Quit whitewashing the movement. Nah, we got to take it back. We got to start taking it back, starting with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We got to show people we're not playing around about our leaders. We're going to shut you down. We're going to check you real hard about it. We're going to hurt your feelings real bad. So if you consider yourself not racist, prejudiced, or have any anti-agendas against original people, and consider yourself progressive, then you will just accept the truth and do everything within your power to see that history does not repeat itself. But what we're not going to do anymore is sitting up there lying about our history and how, events happen. We're not going to do it no more. We're not going to just let you guys just say, relegate him to the "I had a dream" speech. Nah, that's cool. We're not letting y'all do that no more. You or him or anybody else that want to just say, Harriet Tubman was, the Underground Railroad. No, we want to tell the Harriet that unalived Caucasian people, if they try to stop her, because she packed a pistol, she would unalive Caucasian people. That's why they put her face on wanted posters. We're going to tell the Harriet, the unalived traitors within the movement, our people that will give up the location or betray our people to the slave owners. And we definitely not going to keep on letting them just relegate George Washington Carver to just peanut butter. He did way more than just peanut butter. He was like Dr. Sebi before Dr. Sebi was Dr. Sebi. He was telling us stuff about the food way back then. Told us about the soybean. Said it wasn't fit for human consumption. But yet now, fast forward now, what's in everything? But yeah, that's all I want to say about our beloved leader is just we got to start gatekeeping our culture better. We definitely got to start checking people about our leaders. And speaking of checking people about our leaders, I know you didn't think you was going to get away, bruh. So, David Rappaport's he wrote on his IG post, "Cancel this Zionist today. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Zionist. And there's no doubt he would be canceled if he was alive today." And he said that because of something, he took something way out of context, tried to flip the narrative about something he was talking about way back then, because trying to size it up to what's happening over in Palestine now. That's another thing we got to stop letting them folks do. Stop trying to attach yourself to our movement. That's number one. Stop trying to attach yourself to our movement. We, original people, especially original people here in America, everything we've endured, everything we've endured and suffered, if nobody else, if no other people on the planet, our people, the ones rooted here in America, we're uncheckable by everybody. Our struggle trumps everybody's. Ain't nobody had the same thing done to them that they had done to us. They erased our culture 3 different ways. For the people that was already here, they told us we was black. They put us on plantation. Then for the ones that they bought from Africa, they put them on plantations. You know what I mean? We're uncheckable. You cannot check us about nothing. No immigrants in this country can sit up there and say they had it worse than us. It's because of us that you're here anyway. There would be no America had it not been for the builders of this country. If we didn't build this country, how you want to immigrate to some place that doesn't exist? They needed us for the two pivotal wars that founded this country. They needed us for the colonial war and the Revolutionary War. Or like, I think that's the same, but you know, the one where we were feuding with the South, and then, but the ones where we were feuding with the Redcoats. So, you know what I'm trying to say. But the two pivotal wars that started this country, you know, had it not been for our involvement in it, there would be no America. They used slaves for both of those wars. Also, like I said, we built this country. We invented pretty much everything, got credit for nothing, had, like, if y'all sitting up there still believing this fairy tale that Ben Franklin invented all this stuff, that Ford invented all this stuff, like, I don't know. Like, just keep on, just stay sleeping in dreamland. If you don't think them Caucasian men stole all their ideas from slaves. But anyway, yeah, so basically he was trying to, you know, try to basically like guilt trip us for loving on our beloved leader and say, oh, if he was alive, he would be canceled today. You see what I'm saying? He tried, like, to an extent, he's kind of halfway right, because you can't really say anything today. Excuse me. Can't really say anything today without offending somebody. No matter how you say it, it's like everybody's looking for something to be offended about. But this right here, we have a legitimate reason to be offended. Because if you feel so strongly about what's going on over there, then go over there. Go over there and be an active activist. You got money, you got resources. Use your money and resources to make the change you want to see over there. Don't try to stitch don't try to do comparisons and contrast to what our people's going through and what their people's going through. Like, don't do it, bruh. That's where you messed up at. We got to stop letting people like him sit amongst us, absorb our culture, but then be sitting up there talking bad about our culture, pointing out all the wrong things in it, but then love it for what they love it for, but then despise it for everything else. They love it for our food, they love it for our music, they love it for our sense of style, they love it for our athleticism, they love it for our charisma, our outspokenness, our swag, our juice, or drip, whatever you want to call it, but then hate us because we talk up for ourselves. That we call out the hypocrisy about how our people is, you know, being done, like the things being done to us. Then they want to say we're being lazy. Then they want to say we're making excuses. Then we want to say, accuse us of being conspiracy theorists. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like, everybody's out to get you. Like, no. Like, why is it a conspiracy to tell the truth? When did telling the truth become a conspiracy? To say point out what's going on. So if you go outside and there's like 50,000 people outside, we go outside and a plane drops out of the sky, and then you say out of all them $50,000, hey, a plane fell over there. You're a conspiracy theorist for stating the obvious? You're a conspiracy theorist for stating something that factually happened. Wow. I love how they try to just make us seem like paranoid and crazy and delusional. But enough about that, coward. We're gonna go on and move on to the next topic. And yeah, I did call him a coward because that's something cowardly. He's sitting up there trying to hide his true feelings behind, a sentiment, trying to make it seem like, he's saying something like, so having said all that, the next culture vulture we got to check. Our favorite culture vulture, he's at it again. DJ Vladimir. So he says on his platform that Miss Taraji P. Henson don't have no reason to be sitting up there complaining about receiving unequal play. Nobody wants to hear it. She's living in a $6 million house. Knock it off. So I can't remember who said this. It was a white evangelist, Caucasian evangelist. He had a viral sermon. And it went viral because it was titled, "Shut My White Mouth." And this applies to Vlad because he's always speaking out of turn and feeling he can say things about our culture simply because A, he's married to his sister, and then B, he be sitting up underneath brothers and talking candidly. And we give him the power to believe, he can just say anything in concern to our people. So you don't get to have an input. You get to ask questions for all the people that go up to your show, ask them questions and stay in your lane. You don't get to offer your unsolicited opinion. Even though it's your show, you don't get to offer your unsolicited opinion on our culture. About nothing, about hip hop, about politics, about whatever. Shut your white mouth. So it's kind of really hard to take offense because, and why it's hard to take offense, like for me it's hard to take offense is because I know the algorithm, I know him as a social media entity. And for when I did watch it, I would sit up there and watch him bait his guests into screaming on him because he knows he would get views and likes. He legit sits up there and watches people. This is the diabolical interworkings of this guy's mind. He watches people. He's observant. So he studies all his guests. He puts them in an environment to where he can manipulate their personality. He can ask them things that he knows will trigger a negative response out of them. He knows the ones that do it too, though. Like, he wants them to trigger them, but not trigger them so badly that they get up and whoop his ass. But he does want an emotional response, and like he's the master at that. So there's no doubt in my mind that's the reason why he said that. I think he said it on Math Hoffa's platform. And so I ain't even going to get on celebrities, they keep on going up to this guy's show, talking to this dude. Now y'all know what he's about. Now there's no unequivocal, like no way possible that you don't know what this guy's about. Y'all keep on going up to his show. Y'all keep on giving him content. Like, for the ones that's getting paid, what y'all getting paid ain't nothing. Well, I just got $60,000 for just talking to him for like about 10, 15 minutes. Just sitting on his couch answering his questions. Like, but bruh, sis, family, what is like 40 or 50 racks to a guy that's getting close to $1 billion per episode? He's giving y'all, that's not even his lunch money. He got that in his expense account, bruh. He paying y'all off with one of his black cards for the ones that's getting paid. That's a tax write-off. That's charity. He giving y'all charity work. He grossing billions off of his numbers. He don't do nothing to make y'all feel comfortable. He don't give you no food. Don't offer you no beverages. Don't even ask if you're comfortable in your chair. You know what I'm saying? But y'all keep going up there. So shout out to comedian Godfrey. Shout out to Lord Jamar for distancing themselves away from his platform forever, standing on principles and morals, because they could have easily been one of the people on his payroll getting a consistent check, because they at one point was his like largest draws. Like when they was active members on his platform, they got all the hits, they got all the views, they got all the likes. Like it was their interviews that still to this day going viral. Still to this day going viral. His biggest numbers is when he did that culture vulture stuff. He manipulated comedian Godfrey to scream on him about our culture. He manipulated Lord Jamar to scream on him about our culture. He said something about Dr. Sabi. That's one of his biggest, to this day trending. He had to scream on him. But he's going to get what he wants, though. He's going to come across that one entertainer that don't give a damn. And they're going to take him back to the Rick Ross day, how he accrued his vast fortune to have his platform. Heard when Rick Ross's goons pieced him up, and he got a settlement out of it. But anyway, I went longer than I planned to go on that particular topic, because that just got me a little riled up. See how good he is? It got me riled up. But again, now touching back on our sister Taraji, all this hoopla surrounding that horrible movie, The Color Purple. So now the movie studio is trying to blame Taraji and Oprah for sabotaging, The Color Purple. So they're placing all the blame on those two for the script being horrible, the dialogue being horrible, the scene transition being horrible, the ticket sales for being horrible. So they're blaming Oprah and Taraji for the Color Purple flopping. But like I said when I talked about it last week, to get full context of The Color Purple, you got to go all the way back to the original one You got to go all the way back to the source of it. The woman that created The Color Purple, a woman by the name of Alice Walker. Read The Color Purple, the book. Read, like, you can go Google it, book on tape if you don't like to read, audio book, and get a full, absorb her personality through her literature to get full context of what The Color Purple was actually about. The Color Purple, the book and the movie, was more exploitive to our people, especially brothers, than any blaxploitation movie in the 70s. It's more exploitive to our people than any gangster rap. It's more exploitive to our people than any drill rap. It's more exploitive to our people than any award show within the last few. How do you say I hate original men without saying I hate original men? 3 words: The Color Purple. So that was, again, you got to go all the way back to its origin, its roots, which is a woman named Alice Walker. And unfortunately, she is a self-deprecating black woman. I know I try not to say black, but she's a self-deprecating black woman, hates her own existence. She's married to a Caucasian woman. She embodied all the characters, all the inspiration from The Color Purple based on her feelings, how she feels towards brothers. Like, she pulled from inspiration from her real family. She was born in the 40s. So, like, all the people in The Color Purple, all the characters were pulled from, like, her lineage. She only had to go back about 50, 60 years to get to that time period. But, that's where it started. That's, the brainchild of Miss Alice Walker. So they say she's an advocate, activist, all that. She was, she was, in addition to being, married to a Caucasian man, she was also bisexual. So she don't particularly like men in general, but she especially don't like brothers. So that's the scope of, how she created The Color Purple. And then on top of that, put her in the studio, none other than Steven Spielberg. And he fanned that flame. He saw that, her disdain towards her people. And he just built a big giant platform and elevated it and just built big building blocks around her disdain for her brothers. Like, in any iteration of The Color Purple, you will not find a brother in the book, the original adaptation of the movie, the 80s movie, in this movie, a brother with any redeeming qualities. Every last man in The Color Purple is a total scumbag. And as they say, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So that was the goal, to paint this picture up of the original man in a certain light. So it was a setup from the get-up. But to blame Taraji for, complaining about her money, the money that they was paying her and how they was doing her on the set, the things they had to endure and put up with during filming of it, like, they got some real nerve. However, I tell the truth around here, and I gotta tell the truth. Now, as much as I like Taraji, I love her acting, I gotta tell a little truth. Like, if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it. For the original production, Oprah Winfrey said she only got paid $35K. Whoopi Goldberg, she never discussed her wage, but it said that Oprah got paid more than Whoopi. And Whoopi was a star. They didn't get no royalties. They didn't get special treatment either. They didn't get like golf carts from their trailer to the movie set. They didn't have no special meals prepared for them. They had to eat with the extras, or they didn't eat at all. They had to either, take their own vehicle to the set, or a taxi cab, or walk. As this is the 80s, remember that now. Because Whoopi looking the way she looked in the 80s. Oprah looking the way she looked in the 80s. So, yeah. They didn't get paid nothing either. But it's still not a good excuse for why she didn't get paid anything. Because as Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. So it's not the 80s no more. And, that's not scale for assistant no more, for what they paid her. What else I got for y'all? Some other stuff I want to talk about before getting up out of here this evening. So they just recently wrapped the Grammys. There's some good, there was some good touching moments in the Grammys. One of my favorite. So I don't watch award shows. I don't subscribe to them, but it comes up in your feed. You see stuff. So one thing that I liked seeing was the reunion of the cast of Martin. They all reunited on stage at the Grammys. So that was cool. Another thing I noticed at the Grammys was the dress code. How prestigious and eloquent everyone was in attendance that attended. Fellas had tuxes, tux and tie affair, a suit jacket at the very least. Some people had ties, some people didn't, but it was really dapper affair. All our people, all our winners that won awards, they was all looking their best. I'm going somewhere with this. Something else I noticed at the Emmys, like sometimes recording artists, even though the Emmys is for like television accomplishments, sometimes recording artists present awards at the Emmys. Big thing I noticed at the Emmys, who wasn't there, didn't see Sexy Red at the Emmys. Didn't see Sukihana at the Emmys. Didn't see Lil Nas X at the Emmys. Didn't see any of these people that make spectacles of themselves in award shows at the Emmys. And I'm going somewhere with this, and what I'm saying is like, how come we can act like we got some sense in a setting with white people and carry ourselves with dignity and grace, eloquent, and act like we got some sense in the presence of white people? You didn't see nothing buffoonish on the carpet. You didn't see nothing like silly, no silly type of sense of humor. You didn't see boobs popping out. Didn't see no crotchless underwear. Didn't see, females in the seat kicking their sandals off, sitting with their legs gapped open in between takes. But you see all that stuff in our award shows. You see violence at our award shows. You see people fighting each other. You see people looking like they just woke up and got out of bed. So where's the parallel? Where's the disconnect? I'm going to paraphrase LL Cool J like he said. I don't got his exact quote. He said, hip hop, of course it originally comes in a paper bag, but sometimes we like it on a silver, served to us on a silver platter sometimes. I don't think that's exactly what he said, but I get it. Like you want to be comfortable, you want to wear, a t-shirt and some jeans for the fellas. You want to wear a t-shirt, some jeans, and have you some room to stretch out. You don't want no tight pants. Some of y'all wear tight pants, like the newer generation, they wear the tight pants. But, I get it. You want to be comfortable. Sisters, y'all know, y'all want to, if it's hot, you want to wear some shorts, a mini skirt, a mini dress, but it's look at the Emmys and then look at our award shows. It's like night and day. Tell me what's wrong with that. Tell me what's wrong with that picture. Do we got to go, do I got to take y'all all the way back to Sesame Street? Two of these things is not like the other thing. These things is doing their own thing. How come our picture is always distorted and degenerate? That's where I'm going with it. How come our picture, when we do things within our community, is distorted and degenerate? But then when we're amongst them, it's refined and poised and dignified. If that ain't socialized, if that ain't psychological programming and condition, I don't know what is. It's we can't wait to act a fool when we get around each other. But we'll straighten up and talk different and look different and act different when we get around them. It's crazy. We don't know how to respond to and interact with each other. The talk shows too. When I just told you, when they go to Homies platform, dude, the Vultures platform, they be looking their best. They be looking all, you know what I mean? Show up on time probably. Professional and ready to answer all of his questions and not dodge no questions. But when you go to a brother or sister's platform, you act like you don't want to answer the questions. You want to be evasive. You want to act like they're irritating you by asking you the question, but you want to go on the show like, you ain't paying me nothing. That's your energy. You're lucky I showed up at all. You know what I mean? That's nuts. We got to learn how to treat each other better and respond and react to one another better. Because it's like we put on when we get around them folks, man. Meanwhile, if a brother or sister says something to you, got an attitude, got your face tore up, and what you ask me for that for, and da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So that's just all I want to point out. It's like difference between night and day. Got two more things I want to talk about, and I'm going to break out for this evening. So, a couple things. First of all, I want to put into perspective, like I got some, constructive feedback about, my platform. First of all, it was brought to my attention I'm acting like a conspiracy theorist, and I'm trying to make connections where connections are not. Like I already said, it's not a conspiracy to think, to use your mind, to rationalize. It's not a conspiracy to tell the truth. So this is what this platform is not. I don't tell conspiracy theories, spread conspiracy theories. I tell, how it is, and then you can take it or leave it. Another thing I want to come out and say, this isn't the blame the white man for everything show. Don't take no accountability. Give the white man too much credit. So that's not that. But pointing out, systemic racism, ambiguous racism, compartmentalized racism, none of that's equals conspiracy theory. None of that equals not taking accountability. That's just calling things for what they are. That's what I do on here. I call things for what they are. And anybody that does something similar to what I do is just, addressing things the way they are. Nothing more, nothing less. Not blaming people for your problems. Not, trying to act self-righteous or nothing like that. But yeah, I just wanted to get that smooth straight. This is not that. This is not the, blame white people for everything and don't take accountability show. This is just telling how it is show. And speaking of telling how it is, our brother, Little Nas X. Now, Cat Williams, he just got a whole lot of flack for talking about industry plants. Now, that's who we should have talked about. If there's not that, he's the textbook definition of an industry plant. He's literally trending just a trend. And we've seen the evolution of it, and he keeps getting more insulting and more insulting and more insulting to our intelligence, to my intelligence anyway. Because number one, he's not a homosexual. So if you think he's a homosexual, I got some property. I got beachfront property for you in Antarctica if you really buy that he's a homosexual for real. He's probably engaged in the homosexual act now, that he's allowing himself to be manipulated and controlled like a puppet. But industry plant for sure, because look at the evolution of the way he came out. So first he's just this young dude, country singer, caused a big uproar. They put him in the atmosphere of country western, like all these redneck hillbillies, they get mad because their brother's there. When in fact, it was us that created country, that genre of music anyway. We created country music, but for some odd reason, they was mad that he was in attendance and he got awards. Okay. So now it got traction. Okay, he made people mad. Now the focus is on him. And because of the way the algorithm works, they focus on the negative and not the positive. So we're going to do more things with this guy to upset people. So now, just out the blue, he says, oh yeah, I'm a country western singer, but I'm also homosexual. Just out the blue. Okay, cool. All right, no judgment. You can be that. Ain't nobody judging you. But then they want to up the ante. So now not only has he come out and be a homosexual, now he is a Satanist, somebody that worships Satan, the devil, to make him more edgy, to make his brand pop, to make more people mad, to have his name trending all over social media. All right, cool. Go with it. No judgment. Do you? It's America. But now, he says he is a devout Christian. But he is a devout homosexual Christian. And you cannot be both. You're one or the other. And we know this. For what's supposed to be allowed. Now, nowadays they're letting anything slide. They're legit in Christianity. This is why I always say, my old saying, when people ask me, well, what are you? I just say I believe in God. And my motto is, I love God, I detest religion. So am I a Christian? Yes. Am I Muslim? Yes. Am I Buddhist? Yes. You can't put a label on me. I believe in God. I believe in righteousness. And in righteousness, like this might hurt people's feelings that are in that community in nature, being an original man. In nature, there's no two things alike. You ain't never seen two homosexual dogs. You ain't never seen two homosexual cats. You ain't never seen like two homosexual hey, no judgment. Do you be what you want to be? That's if the same sex thing turns you on, hey, go right on ahead. But don't you dare say you're a devout Christian when in that book that they devote their lives to expressly says not to be that. And then not only still, doing his Christian music, he's still having the people handling him still in like also inject little satanic, symbols into what his brand. And so I don't know what's going on with him, what type of wealth he's amassing from this, his intentions, why he's doing it, but, he's doing it, it's wrong, he's a plant, plain and simple. We got to get to the point where we're getting rid of the plants. We got to weed out all the plants. As the old saying goes, you got to cut the grass to see the snakes. So we got to start mowing the grass and get rid of all these snakes, all these plants up out of here if we're going to build this liberation thing. Now, also having said that, since I said that, I'm neutral with everything Cat Williams says, I was never like, I already told you my issue. I believe he could have made a strong point about what's going on in Hollywood without dropping all them names. That was his own personal thing, his own personal vendetta he had with all those people that he named. And I'm not sure. I'm not taking no sides in that. But there was a lot of truth to what he was saying as far as Hollywood goes, how they move and, stuff like that. That's what I agreed with. And so I want to go on record as saying I don't believe in the Illuminati. And I don't believe Cat Williams believes in the Illuminati either. As a matter of fact, if you watch the whole 2.5-hour interview, he never once said the word Illuminati. What he said was the people that he named, he said it's like a cabal. And you can do your own due diligence and Google the word cabal. He said it's like. He didn't say it is. He said it's like a cabal. But one thing is for sure, there's something going on in Hollywood, something not right that's affecting our people. Because whether you believe, in these secret societies, in these secret rooms, the proof's in the pudding. Something's going on in Hollywood other than just powder cocaine and financial irresponsibility. There's no way that you're just irresponsible with your money and then addicted to drugs too. Like that can't just be only it for our people. There's something else going on there in that place that's like corrupting our people. Cause like somebody tell me like why when we go to Hollywood, no matter what industry we're in, whether it's the record industry, recording industry, whether it's acting, whether it's sports, whether it's talk shows, whether it's whatever. As soon as we get into Hollywood, tell me, like riddle me this, Batman. Like, how come when our people out of our community, when they make their first $1 million, not like, not their net worth is $1 million. I'm talking about their first $1 million. Their first $1 million, that's theirs. Like after everybody took their cut, after Uncle Sam took their cut, after their handlers, their managers, their whoever took all their cuts, they took their cuts and now they got $1 million. They done bought their house, they done bought a vehicle, they done paid all their financial obligations, all their utilities, all their whatever, travel expenses, all that squared away. Now what's left in the pie is $1 million all to them. How come the first thing that happens to our people is they either blow the bag, they fumble the bag or they blow the bag. They have some type of mental health episode. Something happens to them where they got to spend most of it on therapy. And like we've seen it happen to everybody. We've seen it happen to Martin Lawrence. We've seen it happen to Dave Chappelle. We've seen it happen to Cat Williams. Took his kids, had him crying. Like, how come these strong people that have survived bullets in the streets, survived incarceration, survived the worst, living conditions imaginable, but when they get to Hollywood, they have a complete and total, utter meltdown. What's going on? So don't just say, oh, it's just cocaine. It's just, no, there's something going on. something is not, that energy, that aura, that demonic presence, like something's going on that nobody's talking about or afraid to talk about. But one thing he did have right is when you start learning the truth, they want to vilify you. They want to make you look crazy. They want to make you look like a drug addict, you know, and have everything you say sound like the yammerings of a drug addict or somebody that got some severe emotional, mental health issues. But it'd be like spot on. And an example besides Cat Williams would be Orlando Brown. Now, some of his stuff be like really wonky, and Ye is another good example, but Orlando Brown, you know, he got a viral clip going around. He's like, yo, he's talking in the tongues and all that. He's like, they're making us pay for fruit. They're making us pay for grapes. Da-da-da. If you know, you know. If you've seen it, you've seen it. But, yeah, he talks some big truth into power. Like, our government is so backwards. And when you notice the backwardness and say something about the backwardness, then you're backwards. Because, like, explain this. Like, okay, what's going on right now? What's going on right now for all Americans? All people that live in the USA of A right now, what's going on? It's tax season. So, we're all working and getting taxes taken out of our weekly or bi-weekly or salary pay. And then at the end of the year, or at the end of the fiscal quarter, tax season, right now, what's going on right now, we got to pay more tax on top of tax that they just been taking out all year. And then we can't even stay ahead of the curve and pay it up ahead of time. Because if you pay too much tax, then you owe more tax money. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? But we all do it every year. Oh, yeah, and then when you get unalived, when you leave this physical plane, you got to pay some taxes for that. Or your loved ones won't have nothing left. You got to pay taxes when you come into the world. Ain't that something? Birth, giving birth, they charge you taxes for that. But our government wants to receipts for everything, but they ain't provided us not with one receipt of where all this money's going. We're in $1 trillion deficits. Where's all the money going? Our government is the only government in history that has a national deficit that owes. We owe $1 trillion. We're in $1 trillion debt. Can you even count to $1 trillion? Some of y'all can't even count to 50. I'm saying though, but like when you make astute, sound observations within our community, they want to project you to be crazy. You might say it in an overly passionate way. You might, your body language might look a little weird when you're saying it, but it makes sense. think that's everything this evening. This concludes this episode of the Narrative Podcast. My goal, I went super duper long, but I had to make sure I hit all my topics because I want to have fresh topics this weekend. I don't want to recycle anything. But check me out this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Also, tune in to me regularly wherever you get your podcast information from. I upload episodes every single weekend without fail. During the weekday, it's a toss-up. I never know what time I'm going to have available to do a podcast, so that's why you need to tune in regularly so you don't miss a live edition of the Narrative Podcast. And the best way to not miss a live edition of the Narrative Podcast is to follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. And this platform that I'm on broadcasts directly to YouTube when I'm podcasting. So follow me on Halsey Allen, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and you will be alerted to all my live uploads of the Narrative Podcast. Then also, I'm on X, formerly Twitter. All my live episodes go directly over there too, so follow me on X. I'm Halsey Allen on X, and you'll be notified when I'm broadcasting live. But if you can't catch me when I'm live, definitely catch me on weekends, every single weekend, for full episodes of the Narrative Podcast. My full episodes, the only way they differ is I got a couple more sections. My format's slightly different. I don't do any articles. In replacement of the articles, I do highlight sections. I highlight people that own and operate their own business, so I swap that out for that. Then I also got a health and wellness section. Well, I guess I do got a current, I got a spotlight section for my full episode, and on my spotlight section is just basically like uplifting and edifying a prominent figure within our community doing the work. What else? And then towards the end, I give an inspirational nugget, a gem, a pearl of wisdom. That's how I conclude my broadcast. But that's the only real major difference between my live and a full broadcast of the Narrative Podcast. But either way, just tune in this weekend for sure, and listen to my podcast regularly on a regular basis, wherever you get your podcast information from, so you don't miss a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Enjoy me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. I've also written a book, and the name of my book is titled The Black Card, and it's available on poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has a virtual bookstore. So when you go to their virtual bookstore and look for my title, The Black Card. And The Black Card is basically an all-comprehensive look at our people as a whole. Everything that embodies and encompasses us as a people. It'll make a great coffee table read, good travel book. It's really creative and inventive, and you'll love it. So basically, the Black Card is basically like a survival card. So do yourself the hugest favor. Go to poetizer.com today, right now, because I'm broadcasting live, and pick your copy up of The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. Pick it up today or get your black card revoked. And I also have my own personal poetry blog on blogger.com titled hallziespoetrycorner. And the address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And you can support that poetry blog simply by visiting the link, www.mrhallziesblog.com, sharing the link, or sharing a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner blog, Hallzies Poetry Corner poetry blog on all platforms. So like whatever you're active on Facebook, on X, on WordPress, on Tumblr, on Pinterest, whatever you're active on, whatever you like to post to, make sure you post a poem from my poetry blog to it, or the link to my poetry blog to it. So for your visual ones like the YouTube or the TikTok, you might have to, or Instagram, you might have to actually shout out Hallzies Poetry Corner. So yeah, that helped me immensely. Funnel all the resources back into this podcast so I can give better content and have some dope stuff for you guys. But yeah, that's all I got going on right now. But tune in this weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast, and that's my time. That's it, and that's all. I am out of here. Check me out this weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen, and this has been another episode of the Narrative Podcast. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to join me in changing the narrative by becoming a narrator and changing the narrative one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.